What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Main Event Review. Thank you very much for tuning in into this week's episode. Once again, 3 matches to get through, and I'm going to keep repeating it. I really like the new main event format, I have to say. 3 matches to cover, and it's just main event. How cool is that? I also have to quickly address sort of the oversight that I had on the Elimination Chamber preview, which was quite premature. And that's sort of why the reason was that we weren't able to know who the 6 opponents were. So a lot of things have happened since then. Gunther's not in the tournament or in the chamber, and Charlotte Flair isn't in the chamber either. So that basically means that I was wrong in those predictions, and we ended up having some really surprising people that are going to enter the Rumble. Javon Evans, who will be able to showcase his athletic ability, which I think is the right move. And then you've also got, obviously, Kiana James, which I think is the biggest surprise of the lot because no one would have expected that. But I kind of like it. It gives an opportunity for definitely Javon Evans being young and exciting, but someone like Kiana James, who actually probably needed this opportunity, this spotlight, and this chance to really showcase her skills and what she's capable of. So it's actually awesome, and I'm not really against it. I don't know what that means for Charlotte Flair when it comes to WrestleMania. I still think that going for the tag titles might be the play, or potentially she might ruin Alexa Bliss's chances. Who knows? But that pretty much changes the sort of winner of the women's chamber because, quite frankly, I don't know who's going to win. I said Charlotte Flair before, and it's looking to be Tiffany Stratton that is the likely person to win because I don't see anyone else besides the winner of the chamber versus Jade Cargill. I feel like Liv Morgan's made up her mind and will be taking on Stephanie Vaquer. So in that case, I think in terms of who the final opponent's going to be for Jade Cargill, it's all leading to Tiffany Stratton. They haven't had their rematch yet. I know people might be bored of that and not want to see that, but there really isn't any other realistic sort of person to take her on unless it is Charlotte Flair. Or maybe Alexa Bliss wins it. Who knows? And, you get a jealous Charlotte Flair for WrestleMania. But we'll have to, wait and see till the final result of the chamber as well. And then we've got the triple threat coming up where I suspect that Bronson Reed will get through unless WWE want to throw another curveball, which I won't be against, but we'll see how that goes. And an Io Sky, I still think qualifies for her match too. So that pretty much rounds up the chamber there. Again, apologies for going too premature, but just thought I'd clear that up before we get into the 3 matches of main event, which we're going to start with now. We had the Wyatt 6, Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan, which was a big surprise. I really thought Dexter Lumis and Joey Gacy was going to actually compete in this match, but it ended up being them two taking on Los Garzas as well. And it was a pretty funny match. You obviously had Los Garzas teaming up against Eric Rowan and, being scared of him given that he was a massive powerhouse. It's great to see Eric Rowan in ring, by the way. It feels like it's been so long since we've seen him in a match. And it was just great to see him there just showing his, his brute strength. And it just took me back to the days where, he was with the Wyatt family, the Bludgeon Brothers, and then also that surprise sort of member of John Cena's Survivor Series team. So, that was pretty cool. And then, the hot tag came in, and that's where Uncle Howdy dominated and pretty much got the victory for them, which was expected. And it looks like we're going in the direction of Solo and Uncle Howdy on SmackDown, unless they do get an Elimination Chamber spot, which I doubt. And I'm quite disappointed in that because I think, look, no one's really invested in this storyline, let's be honest. But I feel like a Solo Uncle Howdy one-on-one at WrestleMania would make the most sense. So they haven't confirmed that they're going to be having a match. So they might be going just face to face, but in the ring together, cutting a promo or something. I hope that's the case. I hope I'm right. But if not, it looks like they're going to have a match. And, you've hyped it up for this long, and you're telling me you're not going to get a WrestleMania match. I don't know how I feel about that there. And then even the tag titles are not getting defended on either brands. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. I would have, liked to see Solo at WrestleMania and Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania. We haven't heard much from the other Wyatt 6 members. So that would be good to sort of start addressing, to be honest, especially because they have lost the tag titles. And, it's all been about Solo. It's all been about Uncle Howdy. And as much as I do like that, it is a big faction group that we want to see the others perform, especially even Nikki Cross, who just seems to not be involved in anything at the moment. But yeah, Solo and White Six, I don't know how I feel about that being not at WrestleMania. And maybe that is just not a big enough feud to get there. So, we'll see what happens next week on SmackDown when those two go face to face, whether it's in the ring, just cutting promos, or whether they're actually going to be taking on each other in a match. But yeah, that pretty much wraps that up. And obviously, the Wyatt Six are going to get the victory here just to build that momentum. And Los Garzas just continue to not really do much. Ever since they lost their tag team titles in AAA, I haven't heard from them. And they're getting main event matches, but nothing more than that at this point. And then we get Joaquin Wilde, who is also like a semi-main event staple. He's on pretty much every second or third week when the Alpha Academy is not on there. But he takes on Obafemi, which, surprised to see him there, but I guess he's just still a free agent. We don't know where he's going. There's a lot of speculation. He's obviously being hyped as a big free agent. And I feel like it's sort of affecting him as well because, what's his plans for WrestleMania? He's obviously going to sign before that. Is he going to be the one to take on Brock Lesnar? You obviously saw Rusev looking at him meanly on Raw, and then he obviously squashed Kid Wilson. I was thinking about Elton Prince. Kid Wilson twice. And then he had another squash match here, destroyed Joaquin Wilde. There was really no chance. It was some few fun displays, obviously military pressing Joaquin Wilde, and Joaquin Wilde had a bit of a sort of small comeback, but then at the end of the day, I think Obafemi was obviously going to be too strong for him. But yeah, I'm wondering what's going to really happen with Obafemi. Who's he going to sign for? I would like to see him on Monday Night Raw, but I feel like he's leaning more towards SmackDown. But yeah, it was a bit of a squash. Again, short match, and I think that's what's going to be happening with Ivy Nile from now on. Ivy Nile. I'm thinking about the next match with Obafemi from now on. As we get into the next match, which is Ivy Nile taking on Skylar Ray. Skylar Ray was the winner of LFG Season 2, so I didn't really know much about her, but she's quite inexperienced. I was looking at sort of her stats. She's only have 50 matches in total, so she gets a big opportunity here to sort of showcase herself in a main live stage with a WWE crowd, or main show crowd, which is quite awesome. And this is why I like main event as well. You get to see superstars like this, someone that's new, someone that's come through the LFG system, and taking on someone of Ivy Nile, who is a very good performer as well. So I think Ivy Nile getting the victory here made sense. It was sort of swinging rock bottom that got the victory there. We went for about 6 minutes and 26 seconds. And, it was just a chance for her to just show off and see who she was. And it's good to see this. This is what I like. I like to see just superstars I don't honestly know of jump on main event and see how they go against the experienced ones. And, Ivy Nile did a good job in sort of, carrying the match and leading it. And, it's going to be good brownie points and experience for her. But, this is all about Skylar Ray and her showcase. And, I'm keen to see how she goes. Obviously, I'm also one that doesn't really have time to really watch NXT. I try to look at the results and follow as much as I can. But then that will mean I have to watch 4 shows in a week. And that's, totally, impossible for me. But, yeah, it was a great display, great match. I think the longest of the 3. Yes, it was the longest of the 3. So it was a great display there. For there, we had the comeback, obviously, Skylar Ray, and then the squash from Ivy Nile at the end. So, that was probably the right result. But it's just great to see Uncle Howdy, Eric Rowan, and Obafemi appear on main event. I think that's pretty awesome, the opportunity to see them. And that's what's good when you have sort of an extra opportunity for a match. You get new stars in, you get people that haven't battled in a live crowd before to get that experience, especially when they have their sort of new feuds and upcoming feuds. And you then also have opportunities like Skylar Ray where you got some new and upcoming stars to just showcase their skills. So, Main Event's in a pretty good place. Obviously, the reviews are a lot shorter now because we're not really reviewing what's happening on SmackDown and Raw. But again, once we get sort of closer to WrestleMania, we'll obviously preview that and see how things are going in terms of storyline. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up this week's episode of the Main Event review. So thank you very much for tuning in once again. And, I'll catch you guys next week with the 3 matches and also reviewing Elimination Chamber because that will obviously be concluding. So that will be a little bit of a longer episode for you guys. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys next week. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.